Days had passed since Evan first chased the storm. To everyone in his small town, it was just a wild story, a boy's overactive imagination. But Evan knew better. Every night, the compass he'd found would flicker with a faint, otherworldly light. A quiet pulse, like the storm itself, was calling him back, whispering a secret only he could hear. And then, one evening, it happened again. A flash of lightning, silent and brilliant, struck the very same mountain peak. The compass in his palm began to spin wildly, its needle a blur of frantic energy, looking out his window at the distant, electrified mountain. Evan whispered to himself, a small smile playing on his lips. "You're not done with me, are you?" He grabbed his worn backpack, already packed from nights of hopeful waiting, and ran out the door, back toward the mountain, back toward his destiny. The glowing circle was there, just as before, but this time it was larger, humming with a deep, resonant sound like a cosmic heartbeat. Without a moment's hesitation, Evan stepped through. The sensation was immediate and overwhelmingly was weightless, tumbling through clouds of shimmering silver dust. He didn't fall so much as drift, landing gently on a solid patch of ground that floated in an endless sky. This was the sky realm. Before him stood Lyra, the guardian of the storm. Her expression a mix of relief and profound concern. "You freed the spirit," she said, her voice echoing the low hum of the realm. "But in doing so, you broke the balance." She pointed upward. The sky above them was torn into one, half a serene, perfect blue, the other a churning, chaotic black. "Two worlds are merging, Evan," she explained gravely. "Our world and yours. And now only you can close the rift." Lyra led him toward a towering structure, the Temple of Winds. Ancient, colossal propellers turned in a slow, endless rhythm, powered not by wind, but by the memories of every storm that had ever raged. To restore the balance, Evan had a daunting task: climb the impossibly tall tower and place his compass in the eye of the sky, the very source of all weather. As he began to climb, each gust of wind that whipped around him seemed to carry a voice, whispering his deepest fears. "You don't belong here. Go home. You're just a boy." The voices gnawed at his resolve, but he pushed them aside and kept climbing, hand over hand. Halfway up, his grip slipped. He dangled perilously from a narrow ledge, his heart pounding in his chest. But from far below, Lyra's voice rose up to meet him, clear and strong. "Storms test the brave, Evan, not the perfect." Her words were the anchor he needed. He found his footing and continued his ascent. At the very peak of the tower, the storm parted like a magnificent curtain, revealing what lay within. Floating in a pocket of absolute calm and brilliant light was the Aja gigantic, mesmerizing sphere of spinning clouds and pulsing veins of lightning. Evan pulled out the compass. It glowed a fiery, red-hot color, trembling in his hands, as if it recognized its home. As he held it, visions flooded his mind's house, his mother waiting on the porch, the familiar comfort of the life he knew. And in that instant, the devastating truth crashed down upon him. To seal the rift between the worlds, he had to stay. He had to become the next guardian. If he returned home, both realms would collapse into chaos. He was faced with an impossible choice. Lyra reached the peak just as he understood. Tears streamed down her face, mixing with the rain that now fell softly around them. "You can't," she pleaded. "You're human. You belong to the world below." Evan looked from her to the swirling eye, and then back to the fading image of his home in his mind. "Maybe," he said, his voice steady despite the weight of his decision. But this storm found me for a reason. With a final, determined breath, he placed the compass into the heart of the eye. A blinding explosion of lightning erupted, and the world roared with a deafening, elemental power. Then, as quickly as it began, there was silence. The two realms began to separate, the sky realm rising, the earth settling below. Through the rapidly closing portal, Lyra shouted, her voice filled with anguish. Evan, the world will forget you. He turned, a soft, bittersweet smile on his face. A guardian accepting his fate. Then let them remember the calm after the storm, and with that, he vanished into the light, forever a part of the sky he had once chased.